Welcome to Equality in Marriage. This is lesson 1 in the Devotion to Spouse curriculum. The goal of this lesson is to increase knowledge of creating equality in marriage by building connection and spending time working together. Partnership in marriage does not mean dividing up tasks equally. Real partnership in marriage means that equal priority is given to each partner's needs, wants, and desires, and that equal value is given to each partner's input, time, and contributions. In this lesson, we will focus on creating intentional habits to build equality, building mutual respect, and creating emotional safety. First, we will discuss intentional habits. Building intentional habits in marriage increases connection, communication, and sexual intimacy. I have a few different ideas of intentional habits you can create to benefit your marriage. First, we're going to talk about regular date nights, letter writing, intentional presence, and our love languages. First, we'll talk about regular date nights. Why is it important? In the study done by Wilcox and Drew, over half, 52% of husbands and wives reported never or rarely going out on dates, while 48% reported regular date nights, once or twice a month, or more often. Husband and wives who reported more frequent date nights reported being happier in their marriages and less likely to seek divorce in their future. This builds better communication, sex, and commitment. Wilcox and Drew stated date nights may solidify an expectation of commitment among couples by fostering a sense of togetherness, by allowing partners to signal to one another, as well as friends and families, that they take their relationship seriously, and by furnishing them with opportunities to spend time with one another, to communicate, and to enjoy fun activities together. I have a couple different ideas for date night on a budget. First, you can do board games. You can do theme movie nights, projector movie nights with a fire, make a fancy dinner or dessert together. You can do a cook-off challenge, an at-home paint and sip party. You can go for a walk together. You can create a playlist and go on a drive together. On the website, I've included a link to a video that has 33 more budget-friendly date night ideas. Date night should be a regular thing. It should not be something that is financially straining. It should be a regular thing within your marriage to connect you back together. For those who are deployed or separated due to duty stations, this is a good option. Plan for virtual date nights. Take time to still connect and spend intentional time together. This can include ideas like synchronized book reading, streaming the same TV series and watching it together, sharing identical photo albums, and going through your day or the time that you were apart, talking about what happened in the photos, why they were important, why you took them, sharing those moments together. One option for deployment is also or separation due to duty stations or trainings is to write each other letters. This may seem old school, but it does really make a big difference and can harness that communication and that connection even when you're apart. So Liz Ann Lightfoot wrote letters to her spouse while he was deployed. These became a lifeline that kept their marriage strong across the ocean and time zones. Phone calls can be cut short, or you can have times where you cannot talk on the phone or cannot contact each other. So having those letters, it allows you to have something that you can always have ready when you need them. An easy way to start, Lightfoot stated, was to create open win letters. This is to pick 8 to 10 simple moments, write short letters for each one, place them in a labeled envelope, and here's some ideas that you can take from that. So like open when you're having a rough day, open when you need a laugh, open when you're proud of yourself, open when you're feeling homesick, open when you need to feel loved, open when you're coming home soon. You can keep these letters short and sweet. One page is about perfect. You can add photos and stickers or memes or anything that you feel like would enhance the moment with your spouse to help them reconnect with you. Again, these letters create an opportunity for your spouse to have when they need them. And sometimes that's when you cannot contact them. So, intentional presence. During these intentional habits, it's important to be intentionally present, to connect to your spouse without distractions. So, taking time to shut off your phone, put down your devices, leave your problems, your outside problems at the door, and enter into wanting to spend time with your spouse. You can ask them, how best can I help you? What can we, what can we do together that can help each other out? You can engage and be mentally available. This is using mindfulness, which we talked about before in lesson 1 in building effective communication. Using that mindfulness in this intentional presence will help you be able to be fully present in the moment, to be able to be with your spouse, to be able to shut out all those outside things, to really focus on each other. We're going to talk about our love languages. So there's several different types of love languages, and it's important to get to know your spouse's love language. Acts of kindness and showing appreciation to our partners are so important. Little and big things mean a lot. Learn your partner's love language, send them a sweet text, make their favorite meal, thank them for all they do, let them know why you love them and how much you appreciate them. So there's several different types of love languages. There's acts of service, quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation, and receiving gifts. I've included a QR code to go to the website to take the quiz if you would like to figure out what your love language is. If you don't know it, or if you don't know your spouse's, have them take this too. Have them have this opportunity to take the time to do this. We're going to discuss each one. So, your acts of service, that is, I took this quiz, so this is my response. That's my primary thing. So I don't need poetry. I don't need somebody who takes out the trash without, or what I need is somebody to take out the trash without being asked. I need somebody to lighten my load and like have me be able to feel it. And when somebody drops the ball or doesn't follow through, it really affects me. Love isn't just something that you say, it's something that you do. It's that act. Another one is quality time. So spending time in the room, in the same room together is important. This is really spending the time, not just sitting next to each other, but really spending it together, giving that attention. And when somebody is distracted, it feels like a rejection. So this is kind of like the respond to bids. If I'm putting out a bid and I'm not getting a response, it's not really having that quality time together, and it feels more of like a rejection. And somebody being fully present helps me feel more loved. We also have physical touch. Love must be felt. And so that one is more like holding a hand or touching your back or being physically intimate with each other. And it's the right type of touches that can change a lot of different things. So you feel not invisible. So you really do feel loved. Words of affirmation. Words that can really be positive in your day, that really reach you and stick with you. These words can make your whole day, or they can, if they're not being said, they can really damage your whole day. You need somebody who can say, I love you, and actually mean it and can tell you why. They don't need to be expensive or anything or big gestures. They just need to be simple things, saying thank you for loading the dishwasher, or I really appreciate you for doing this. Those are words of affirmation. Or I noticed you did this. That's so great. You're such an amazing person, and I love you because of this. Giving those responses, that's your words of affirmation. Finally, receiving gifts. So this is not really about like the actual gift that you receive. It's just more that somebody thought of you and saw something that reminded them of you, and so they gave it to you. Somebody who doesn't really give, like that isn't really giving you gifts that could affect you more, Um, but a small, thoughtful gesture could mean more to you than anything. So these are the different kinds of love languages, and I highly recommend to take the time to learn your love language so you can, and your spouse's love language, so you can respond better and be able to express love to them in the way that they receive it best. Next, we will talk about mutual respect. Mutual respect in marriage is the foundation, a two-way dynamic where both parents equally value partners, sorry, both partners equally value each other's feelings, boundaries, and individuality. It is the daily practice or treating your spouse with kindness, consideration, and high regard, creating an environment where both individuals feel safe to be themselves. Mutual respect has two different ways that you can go about it. You can build respect or you can break respect. To be building respect, you're sharing your values and your growth. This can come in executive councils, which we've also talked about in building effective communication. Also, using that effective communication, being able to actually effectively communicate with your spouse builds a lot of respect because they know that you're being heard. They know that what you're being said is important. You can support their passions, protect the boundaries that you've set, and keep your commitments. Do what you say you're gonna do. That is building respect. That is them knowing that you will be there and you will be able to be somebody that can count on them. Breaking respect and breaking that equality in marriage is mine versus yours. Well, this is my chore, this is your chore, and or this is my money and this is your money, or this is my responsibility and this is your responsibility. In our homes, they are our responsibilities. They are our money. It is our money. It is our chores. In a marriage, there's equality. And so if we are separating that, mine versus yours, there's a lot of break in respect there. There's a lot of break in compassion. There's a lot of break in the ability to feel like you're being most effective, right? And so there's a lot of comparisons within that. If somebody else were to do, let's say you had a chore that was mine and yours, and your spouse did your chore, you could compare like, oh, I did it better than you, so you shouldn't do that, or anything like that. That could really break that respect, instead of using, as we said before, your love language of words of affirmation and really being grateful for them being willing to serve you and do that chore, even if it wasn't exactly the way that you wanted it. But having that comparison can really break down that respect. Lying. We also should not lie to our spouse. This can really break respect. If we say we're going to do something, or we say that we're going somewhere, or we're doing something, we should be honest with them, not break that respect. There's a difference between surprises and secrets. And if we're doing a surprise for our spouse, it's okay to be like, I'm going to go do this, when really we're going to buy flowers for our spouse or a present or something like that. But when it comes to secrets, that's really breaking respect, and that's where lying really comes in. Also breaking the commitments, right? So if we're saying, oh yeah, I'm going to go pick up the kids, or I'm going to go I'm going to get this chore done, or I'm going to go pay this bill, and we don't do it, that's breaking commitments. That affects the mutual respect in the relationship. For those who are going to be deployed or separated for a time, it is important to sit down together and discuss the different roles that are taken on in normal daily life and how those will continue during the separation. So instead of that frantic honey-do list that breeds resentment, create a collaborative list of roles and make sure that you map out who will take the reins of those specific financial, logistical, and home maintenance duties while away, to establish structured boundaries early. This can create mutual respect in the relationship by creating these structures to help your spouse out while you're gone, or for them to understand how to do things when you are gone. Emotional safety is your bond together. When we're talking about emotional safety, we're talking about feeling heard without judgment. This is not a fix it mode. It's not a you talking to your spouse about whatever's going on in your life that's stressing you out and them automatically trying to fix it. It's more them listening. This is using empathy. We're going to watch a video about the difference between empathy and sympathy.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no. You want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. Yeah. And we do it all the time, because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
So, using that empathy and being able to be empathetic with your partner can really help. So, you're not just trying to silver line what is happening to them, but really connecting with them. This takes a lot of mindfulness to do. It takes a lot of time and practice. So, I highly recommend trying to recognize when you're trying to use empathy and when you're trying to use sympathy, and try to change before you speak when you think of sympathy on how you'd be more empathetic with it. Using that compassionate listening can really drive that empathy there, because you're really listening and you're asking questions, you're connecting and figuring out what they're really feeling. So another part of emotional safety is repairing conflicts quickly. This is taking responsibility for our actions, apologizing sincerely when we've done wrong, and respecting the boundaries that our spouse has created or that we've created with our spouse, so then it doesn't create another conflict. We need to open our communication without fear or judgment. We need to have that open communication in our marriages to create that emotional safety and feel like we're being heard without judgment again. So your take-home assignment this week is to have a date night with your spouse to talk about the habits that you want to create in your marriage. Talk about how these habits will change with deployments, childbirth, or life shifts. Discuss areas that you want to bring more equality into your marriage and how to best serve your spouse this week. Thank you again for taking time to listen to this lesson. Again, this is lesson 1, so we have 2 more lessons to go through about devotion to spouse.